Welcome to Vancouver Carpenter. Today I'm going to try installing Strait-Flex on a roll for inside corners. Now this might seem kind of insane to do this, but you know what? We're going to try it and see if it makes some really nice corners. It's going to be a little more work, but I think they're going to end up really crisp. So that's why I want to try this. Anyways, the first thing you need to know is you need to cut this stuff with snips, so you can't just tear it like paper tape. So that's the first thing that adds more time onto the project. First, I'm going to get my length up to the ceiling, right there. And now, in my experience, you don't want to overlap this stuff. So you do actually need to cut it like a corner bead on a 45, or a little bit greater. In fact, if I went like this, I probably could have cut both at the same time. Cool. Definitely you want to pre-crease this stuff. I'm going to do my next piece from this corner to this corner. I'm going to run it a little bit long, so it's like maybe an inch long right now. I'm going to cut one side of it to a 45, folded. Pre-crease it. And because this is a short run, I'm actually gonna fit it right now. So it's kind of like doing corner beads for your corners. Okay, it's just a little short, maybe a 1/4 inch short for some wiggle room. And I will now do the same thing along this corner, which you won't see because it's where all my lights and stuff are set up. But it's the same idea. And I'm going a couple inches long. Snip 45. For the long ones, you definitely need to leave them long. And I'm going to have the 45 going into this far corner, and I'll cut it to length when I get over here. I'm going to start by buttering this up. I'm using all-purpose mud, by the way. So I would recommend only all-purpose or taping mud for this. Putting a pretty liberal amount of mud on here, a good 1/8 to a 1/4 inch. It's thinned down pretty thin so I can wipe it out easily. There's a big gap in here. I don't know if you guys can see that. In this case, I'm not actually really worried about it. This isn't paper tape. It's going to hold its form and not shrink. So there are some practical advantages to this stuff. Okay, I put the pointed end up in the corner here. And I'm just going to try wiping this stuff out. Maybe creasing it is a bad idea. It's just puckering back out. Like I need a corner roller or something. Maybe I should have read the instructions. You can see what it's doing. It's just lifting back off. Not cool, Strait-Flex. Not cool. Yep, there is instructions, and I didn't follow them. I just pretended it was paper tape. Alright, so what I'm supposed to do... well, at least there's still mud on there. What I was supposed to do, fold it in half, so that it actually gets that nice crease in it, but then you're supposed to unfold it to past 90 degrees. And that's what I didn't do. I left it folded past 90 degrees. So what happens when it's past 90 degrees is it won't unfold properly. So I'm now just taking my time to unfold this so that it's, you know, like that. And maybe now we can actually get this stuff to stick to the wall. I should probably keep reading the instructions Make sure surface of corners are smooth and apply a bed coat of mud to the wall. Press original into the wet compound. Adjust if necessary. Wipe down tight with taping knife and apply first coat. Okay. Alright, let's make sure that's in there. Here's another benefit to a noob, is you're not going to tear this tape with your knife. Alright, the build out's actually not that bad. It's like a small eighth. Alright, and it says you can apply mud to both sides right away. So how's that going to look? Alright, now let's do this one. I'm out of mud. That's enough to finish. Okay, let's see if we can get this right this time. So I had it folded past 90 degrees, so it's sharp. Now let's get it folded back properly. Okay, there, it's just a bit past 90 now. The other way. Oh, this wall has a curve in it. It goes like this. So I think it's going to want to bow right there. Let's see. No, it didn't crinkle, so it actually can withstand some, minor deviations without crinkling. So it definitely has some advantages and disadvantages. One immediate disadvantage is that it takes more skill to cut and install. It's like a corner bead. So you're basically doing corner beads for your inside corners. Second disadvantage, obviously it's a lot slower. But then it also has some really immediate advantages. One being that it's going to straighten your corners out, make them really sharp. It can't be ripped and torn like paper tape when installing. And it also coats out really nicely. You can coat both sides of it at the same time. But it's going to take two coats to finish, which is... So you're actually having to coat two sides 2 times, and so it really is a lot more work than a regular paper tape install. I think the finished results for a small job could be worth it, or for a really crooked corner could be worth it. But it's definitely not going to be like for every project all the time. Okay, let's uncrimp this a little bit again, and I'm going to take the pointed side and go all the way to the far corner here, letting it run wild. pointed side in the corner. And now, as you can see, it's long, and I'll try and get you guys over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I need to do here is I need to kind of eyeball the length. I'm going to guess I'm about a 1/2 inch long here. That's pretty good, but I think it's pinched a little bit at the end, so I'm going to go 1 more 1/8 here, just to be sure. Hour 45. There we go. So we can wipe it out. Now let's coat this all. I'm just using a 5-inch knife here, and I think I'll use a 6-inch on the next coat. Okay, it's not working as nicely here where it has the bevel. It looks like I'm actually having to build into the corner. Okay, not perfect and easy in that regard. It's okay, but it obviously needs some tuning up. All right, let's take a look at these Strait-Flex corners. So they're looking pretty darn nice and straight. Now, the only problem is that occasionally I have to build the joint out pretty big, and then you're gonna lose that edge. So unless you've somehow, maybe like done your first coat over top of all your joints before you actually go and install the tape, there are going to be times where you're going to lose the crispness of that line by having to build it out for a big butt joint or something, kind of like what I've got going on here. So this has had a chance to dry, and I've been coating the rest of this place. It's now time to coat the rest of these corners, but for the most part, they're already coated. I mean, they got done when I was skimming the ceiling, and a lot of them are done from doing these joints here. This one up here, it doesn't look like it needs another coat today. I'll skim it tomorrow when I come back to do some more work here and skim coat everything. But, there's this part right here, and I can really see that coming through. I know it's not going to get covered in 2 coats. So this is going to require 3 right here. There is just the occasional spot where that flange seems like it's going to be hard to bury. So 3 coats on some spots may be necessary, and that never really happens to me on paper tape. Got this little spot here between these 2 joints that maybe needs a little bit of love. And I'm just going to tune up the 3-ways a little bit. Nothing major though. I'll probably do more damage if I'm not careful. Well, let's see how it looks after a sand and a skim and a sand. Alright you guys, the Strait-Flex original on a roll. So, would I actually use this? I don't know. I think this was probably the worst possible job to do this on, because I've got the skim down ceiling, I've got all these big joints everywhere. But that actually helps me answer a question, because one of the only reasons I would want to use this is to try and get like nice, straight, perfect corners in a reno. But now I've realized that it gets built down too much to keep that nice straight corner. And probably the only conditions that I could make this work perfectly under is like new construction with nice new drywall, long stretches. So I mean, under those conditions, I can make paper tape perfectly straight anyways, so I don't see why I would actually use this when it takes about 3 or 4 times as long to install and finish, and it builds out a lot more. Now, I will admit this is not the intended use for this product. It's more like made for off angles, and I think this product's been around for a long time. So back in the days of, people still trying to tape off angles with paper tape and metal corner beads, I think this stuff was a good viable alternative. So I'm probably never going to use this product because I'm going to choose paper tape for inside corners almost every single time, and I'm going to use the bigger stuff for the off angles to get a nicer result, because this can follow waves a lot when you try and use it for off angles. You really have to pay attention installing this stuff. One thing it's good for though actually is short, small off angles, because it doesn't have to be built out as much as the bigger composite beads. Now there's one last thing that I'm not gonna like when using this stuff. So you got to think about the next guy long term. So if you're using this on inside corners and say somebody's going to be doing some remodeling at a later date, or they're just trying to remove a small piece of drywall that goes into a corner, well, what's going to happen, because this stuff doesn't tear like paper tape, is like when they go to rip the drywall off, this stuff is going to like yoink off all the way up to the ceiling. So unless it's perfectly cut, which people aren't going to know it's there, and they're not going to do that intentionally. So there's one more drawback to actually using this stuff for all your corners. But anyways, that's enough of me talking, you guys. It's time for you guys to let me know in the comments what you think of Strait-Flex. Have you tried this product? Have you used it for corners? What do you like to use it for? Anyways, thanks for watching Vancouver Carpenter. I hope you got something useful out of this video, and till the next one.